share with you something I'm finding extremely fascinating. On Monday, there's going to be a total solar eclipse that could be seen in the United States and Canada. The Talmud tells us that a solar eclipse is a bad sign. It's a bad omen for the nations of the world. A lunar eclipse is a bad omen for the Jewish people, but we're able to overcome it if we do the will of Hashem, because we're beyond the star signs. Why? Because the nations of the world count by the sun, and the Jewish people count by the moon. We know, we read in Shul on Shabbat, the mitzvah of the first month of the year should be the month of Nisan, and it should be, we should count based on a lunar calendar. So the Jewish people particularly have a lunar calendar by which they go by. The Talmud tells us that the solar eclipse is associated with certain iniquities, certain sins. What are they? Rape, and no one comes to help. The blood of two brothers that are spilt at the same time. Then further it says that there is the impact on the celestial spheres are because of writing false information about someone in order to put them down, to hurt them, and testifying falsely. Haven't we been seeing this since October 7th? What was October 7th? The rape, the murder of two brothers. And what have we seen since? The world media have been totally lying about Israel, whether it be officially rapes, the hospital that was bombed, that was not, that we didn't bomb, the rapes in a hospital a few weeks ago, that was bogus, that was just made up, and they don't even say that, oh, we reported on things that were made up. They just put it aside and they ignore it. Or that Israel deliberately targeted these 8 workers. Mind-boggling. So now we have this eclipse, and this eclipse is what? The moon overpowers the sun. The Jews who count by the moon. And when do we count by the moon? On this month, the Rosh Chodesh. This is the first day of the month, and it's the first day of the month of Nisan, the month of miracles, the month we went out of Egypt, the month that it says that we're going to be redeemed eventually. So here we have the nations of the world who, in my lifetime, I don't remember the nations of the world all ganging up against the Jewish people in one way or another. Like no friends left, even so-called friend America, all targeting Israel. And they're represented by the sun, covered by the moon, which represents the Jewish people. We will have a month of miracles, the month of Nisan, the month which means miracles. This is the month Hashem gives us to tell us that we go by the moon. The nations go by the sun. This solar eclipse happening that time, based on what's going on in the world right now, I think it's everything coming together in the most remarkable way. Now, if you want to understand, hold on a second, how could you say it's because of certain sins when it's a natural event that you know about hundreds of years beforehand? You can know when the eclipse is going to be. You could calculate it. So the answer to that is there are time periods that are susceptible to certain situations. It doesn't have to happen, but if one doesn't use their full free choice, it's more likely that bad things will happen in these times. You have during time, for example, for us we say the month of Adar is a time of a good omen time for the Jewish people. The month of Av is negative. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's more susceptible to it. There are times of the day that are more susceptible to different iniquities, and you just have to stand strong in those times. Now, this is a time period that is susceptible to the sins I mentioned earlier, and we've seen the world has failed in it in a big way. And hopefully, what we will see after on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the month of redemption, the month we went out of Egypt, the month we're going to go out of this exile, is the strength of the Jewish people who count by the moon over the nations of the world, because our shepherd will be protecting us.